Hello, and welcome to the Geopolitics Explained podcast. I hope everybody had a great end to 2025 and a great start to 2026. For the Geopolitics Explained podcast, as we head into 2026, the format will slightly change in the month of January. Over on Substack during the month, I undertake my 2026 geopolitical predictions. This is essentially scenario analysis of many countries from around the world and the direction I expect them to take in 2026 based on what occurred in 2025 and in the years before that. These posts over on Substack are typically some of the longest posts that I write throughout the year. As a result of the length of these posts, if I was to include every single country that I discuss in a singular podcast episode, it would be incredibly long. So, during this month, from the prediction posts over on Substack, I will choose a selection of countries that I write about, and I will create podcast episodes based solely on individual countries. The first post in my 2026 predictions series was released on Monday, and it focused on the continent of Africa. Countries that I discussed in this post include the Democratic Republic of the Congo, Egypt, Ethiopia, Morocco, Nigeria, Somalia, and Sudan. In today's episode, we will focus solely on what could unfold in 2026 for the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Conflict in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo has involved many surrounding nations over the past few decades. These tensions started with the Congo crisis in 1960, and the region has seen little stability since then. Today, the conflict in the DRC continues, and it largely involves the DRC, Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. The M23 rebels are the largest non-state actor that is relevant to this conflict, and they are reported to be largely backed by Rwanda. This is supported by the M23 leader, who previously reportedly fought in the Rwandan army. This does highlight that there is some form of connection there. In recent years, the M23 rebels made gains, capturing territory in the northern Kivu and South Kivu provinces in the DRC. In June 2025, a peace deal agreement was reached between the DRC and Rwanda, but this process didn't include the M23 rebels. As a result, the fighting in the DRC periodically continued. In November 2025, there was a separate peace framework agreement that was signed between the M23 rebels and the DRC in Qatar, but once again, periodic fighting has continued since this date. As a result of the lack of success in these peace frameworks, I expect the M23 rebels to continue their aggression against the DRC into 2026. This situation allows Rwanda to somewhat seek to save face while still attempting to secure its western border with the DRC, while also attempting to gain from the region's advantages. This region of conflict is known to be resource rich. As a part of the United States seeking to find alternative sources of rare earths and critical minerals, it was them who brokered the peace between the DRC and Rwanda in June of 2025. As a part of this peace deal, the United States also signed an agreement with the DRC, seeking to gain access to the minerals that exist in this region. This includes coltan, which is the ore from which tantalum is produced. Tantalum is used in mobile phones and other electronics, including military applications. 40% of total global supply originates in the DRC. It's notable that Rwanda's exports of critical minerals have also sharply risen in recent years. It is suspected that a large proportion of these exports from Rwanda are from the region of conflict. One reason that I expect tensions to remain elevated here is because despite the United States pursuing this peace agreement in June of 2025, their primary focus wasn't to secure peace. The United States is self-interested, and they want to advance their access to diversified rare earth and critical minerals. China is known to possess a large amount of minerals that come out of the DRC, and they are active in providing investment to the DRC and its minerals industry. The United States has accused the Chinese of being controlling and coercive in the past, especially due to $10 million of Chinese investment that was directed into the mining industry in the DRC some years ago. If the United States was to establish a presence in the DRC and in their mining and critical minerals industry, they would undermine China. But with this conflict expected to remain, I imagine that the United States will prioritise alternative sources of rare earths and critical minerals that are easier to obtain and develop. So, because the nations who seem on paper to be pursuing peace in this conflict involving the DRC and the M23 rebels are self-interested and are seeking control of these critical minerals that are vital in the superpower tussle between the United States and China, I expect that no peace deal will be signed because these countries were only attempting to sign peace deals initially for their own individual gain. Of the other nations who are relevant to this conflict, in the past, Burundi and South Africa have sent troops to support the DRC against the M23 rebels. As for Uganda, who I mentioned as relevant to this conflict earlier, Uganda is situated to the north of Rwanda, and they don't want Rwanda to gain too much influence in this region. With more nations being involved in this conflict in the DRC, this does complicate the pursuit of peace even further, and this contributes to my expectation that in 2026, this conflict will continue. That's all for today. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please consider leaving a review on the podcast platform of your choice. Throughout the month of January, while I release these episodes that are focused on singular countries, I will refer to these episodes as country profiles. These country profiles will be found on podcast players, but they will also be found on my geopolitics database over on Substack. The geopolitics database covers every country in the world, a wide range of commodities, and other important geopolitical aspects, such as power, global narratives, perception, technology, and trade. The link for the database is included in the description of this episode if you want to head over there and browse. Again, that's all for today. I've been Dylan, and I'll talk to you next time.